and welcome back to Pheo Pash and Zombien by Leon Naylor. Good morning, Primes, Xenon bellows. I hope you all slept well. My technicians tell me that each of your upgrades went well, and you should be experiencing no unpleasant side effects. You have a busy first day ahead of you, so I won't be keeping you long. Xenon moves a bit closer. You glance around the room, looking for the source of the sudden tension, but all you see is 17 rapt faces waiting for what he will say next. I don't like having to be the bearer of bad news, Xenon begins, but there's something we should discuss before you head off for your training rooms. Each of you is a valued employee of the Xenon Corporation. Having said that, it's only fair to mention that potential primes exist to replace each of you should your business arrangement not work out. Believe me when I say I would rather not have to retire anyone. You are our first and best choice, but if any of you feel that you cannot get behind the company ethos, or worse, act against the company, then I'll have no choice.
So it's do what we say or we shove you out of the airlocks time already. You see a lot of uncomfortable faces around the room. No one likes to be told any day could be their last, especially when it's by someone who obviously has no real regard for human life.
Now that we have that little bit of unpleasantness out of the way, Xenon begins, it's time for you to head off to your first day of training. For now, you can consider your team the two people you sat with at breakfast. Once we all get to know each other a little bit better, we'll make more permanent assignments. It's very exciting. I feel like a proud parent. Off you go now. You all rise as one and begin to file slowly out the door and down the corridor. Nobody speaks. You have an uneasy feeling about what lurks on the other side of the training door. More probing. And and you're sure you're not alone in this.
Come on in, bellows a voice as soon as you're near the door. Another alien stands in the middle of a huge room. It appears empty and looks like the same white plastic the corridors were made of. This new alien appears larger than Xenon. It has thicker arms and something about it screams dangerous. Welcome to the start of your training, it says. My name is Radon. I will be your combat and basic survival instructor. My job is to prepare you for Phase 2, which is finalizing the culling and bringing the remaining human workers into line. Questions? No. Good. Let's move on. Radon walks to the middle of the room and presses a button on his wrist. The room begins to change rapidly. The other primes shift uneasily as objects appear from the walls, floor, and ceiling. It isn't long before an array of weapons and 9 training areas are fully formed.
The nanotech you received during your upgrade has improved your skills right across the board, Raynon informs you. Some of you may already be able to feel the effects. Some may not. Today's session will be about learning your new limits. We'll start with some basic combat techniques. Don't be afraid to hit hard. You'll find that you heal a lot more effectively than you used to. Bear up, grab a staff, see what we have to work with.
Who you want to pick, Simon or Rachel or someone else? How about someone else?
Well, Simon's a wimp.
Alright, you want to go with the wimp, Simon?
Heck no! Let's beat up the strong person.
Someone else?
Rachel. She's been protecting Simon.
Want to see what you've got? You ask Rachel. She glances at Simon but then nods. Sure. Let's see what kind of freaks we woke up as. You walk over to the first sparring area and grab a staff from the rack. It's much lighter than you thought it would be. You see that Simon has paired up with a guy with blue spiky hair and taken the area nearest to yours. You silently wish him luck, but for now you need to think about your own fight. You know that you're being watched carefully by your new employers, and you need them to think you are 100% committed to this process. Going hard and fast, let them tie themselves up on your defense and attack. Vary your
tactics.
Okay, vary your tactics. Try to throw them off balance.
You salute Rachel with your staff and gesture for her to come at you. She seems reluctant to strike at first, so you step in and unleash a volley of your best blows. She is knocked back and seems surprised at how hard you can hit. Instead of following through, however, you wait for her to regain her balance and come back at you. You repeat the pattern a few more times, and then, when she's gotten into the habit, you simply step aside when she makes her attack. You swing hard at her staff from behind, knock it clean out of her hands. Without a weapon, Rachel has no choice but to surrender. Round 1 to you. Sneaky! Keep it up, Janet, bellows Radon from across the room. You'd better get your head back in the game. Going all out again? Or are you going to take it easy on Rachel?
I'm not going to take it easy.
Take her down hard! Show her who's the alpha bitch.
It's best if you finish this quickly. Dragging it all day is just going to tire both of you, and who knows what other fun things your new boss has planned for you. You think you are getting more confident with the upgrade, and it's time to make the most of it. You raise your staff again to let Rachel know you are ready. She comes at you, but instead of blocking her attack, you ignore it, taking the hit to the chest, and you bring your staff down hard on the head. You stagger back. She drops like a stone. Top of the class, Janet, bellows Raiden. You are definitely going places. You appreciate the praise, but the looks you are getting from the other primes aren't exactly friendly, especially Simon.
Back in the middle, Radon shouts. Time to see if you humans can shoot something that isn't your own foot. He touches his wristband, and the sparring areas melt away like they were made of water. There's a soft sound and a faint smell that you can't quite place. Before long, the stabs have been replaced with rifle racks. Targets further down the rack seem a little too realistic for your taste, but you should consider yourself lucky they didn't strap live people to the racks. Radon pauses for a second, then nods and touches another button. A scoreboard appears above his head with each of the primes' names on it. Okay, primes to beat. I shouldn't need to explain this, but I am going to because you are dumb. Each of you takes a gun. Find the firing range that has your name on it and shoot the targets. Each of you have 20 shots. Anyone who gets 20 shots gets the rest of the day off. Get to it. You all scramble to grab a gun. You have little trouble finding your name marker. You feel reasonably confident the targets aren't much more than 50 feet away. The rifle seems pretty easy to use.
Just as the confidence peaks, Radon shouts again, "Begin when ready." Heart and head shots only. The targets suddenly burst into motion, randomly twisting and turning in ways that no real person could manage. Well, certainly not without throwing out their joints. You sigh. Nothing can be done the easy way. You settle down and try to get the feel for the weapon. This is your first time holding an alien blaster, surprisingly enough. You don't even know if it has a kickback, how much it might have, or even it just fires a light beam. Do you want to adjust your aim to allow for the kickback? If there isn't any, your first shot will undoubtedly miss, and then gives you the chance the rest of the day free. I'm just going to aim where you want it to go. It shouldn't have a kickback.
We'll find out.
If it's, a high-tech weapon. Do you want to do that one?
Go for it. You need to put it where you want it. You guess it fires some kind of light beam. Light they did on TV. You don't want to blow your chance by shooting it in the stomach. You watch the target for a minute, and then begin to notice patterns in its movement. You wait for just the right time, and boom, right in the head. Weren't you aiming for the heart? Okay, I won't tell anybody. It counts, that's what matters. Just remember to watch for the kickback next time. You're all business after that. Shot after shot. Head and heart, heart and head. You never dreamed you could be as good a shot as you are now. It isn't long before you're on the final shot and victory is within your grasp. You line up the perfect shot, you're going to spend the rest of your day by the pool. If there is a pool, you squeeze gently and click. Wait. How could it be empty? You didn't use 20 shots. Oh, so close, Janet, says Radon from the right behind you again. He turns to face the rest of the group. As Janet has just demonstrated, it doesn't matter how good you are with a weapon if you do not understand it. Before you pull the trigger or press a button, always know what will happen and why it will happen. If Janet had known how this weapon worked, they wouldn't have known it only had 19 shots, which in which case they would not be about to spend the rest of the day stripping and learning many, many kinds of weapons.
The rest of the day passes surprisingly quickly. You expect to be bored looking over parts and pulling apart weapons. However, this really is an amazing chance to look at technology that is centuries ahead of anything you have ever seen before. After a few hours, some of it even begins to make sense. You learn that everything that have is based on the nanotechnology. If you could somehow learn to control it, then you would have the key to everything on the ship. That is probably a bit much to hope for on your first day, though. When radon finally calls an end to the day's activity, you have a dull ache in your head that says you have probably pushed it too far. He tells you that you weren't all completely useless and you can go eat now.
You filter back to the cafeteria and are once again surrounded by pleasant smells. You are too tired to be picky with your food, but you notice something strange that you didn't get a chance to see this morning. When some of the people get their food, they don't go and sit down, they wait. To start with, you assume they're just waiting for their friends, but when you look in their eyes, they seem vacant. At the back of the vacant group stand both Simon and Rachel. What are they waiting for? Eric's the one who gives you the answer. He takes his food and goes straight to sit down. The second he sits, two of the vacant primes suddenly seem to come out of wherever trance they were in, and they sit down with him and seem perfectly normal after that. You see it happen a couple more times. So much for Xenon only giving the most basic of instructions. Is there anything happening here that hasn't been programmed into you?
You sit with your food, mainly because you don't want to draw attention to yourself, but also because you are afraid Simon and Rachel will literally die of thirst waiting if you don't. The second you're at the table, they both come alive and seem to have no idea of what they did. Do you want to discuss it with them, or is it best not to worry them over something they probably can't do anything about?
Tell them.
No. Okay.
You tell them about the strange behavior they exhibited. It's a shame you can't point it out, but you spend so much time watching that you were the last trio to sit again. Rachel's eyes go wide. Are you serious? She asks. We can't even choose who we sit with at dinner? It's worse than that, I think, Simon chimes in. We've been programmed in many little ways. This is probably just to make us bond so we'll make a better team. Did you notice how no one refused to work for Xenon? How we're all plied in and picked up a weapon in this morning? What will happen, do you think, when it's a crowd of innocents and we're holding the weapons? Do you think they'll have to order us to fire? Or do we have standing instructions for all such events? It's a dark thought, one you really need to find the answer to before you have a practical demonstration.
Dinner begins to die down. When people have full stomachs, they begin to get sleepy. Your trio is one of the few left, although you're reluctant to head back to your room. Simon suggests that if you get lonely, you could stop in and see him. Ugh. He is a little hesitant and doesn't look at Rachel when he makes the suggestion. You can't help but suspect he is offering more than just a cozy chat. Both Simon and Rachel suddenly claim to be very sleepy and say their goodnights. You watch them go, but there is really nothing else to do in here tonight, so you make your way out into the corridor. The corridor is mostly empty. A few people linger saying their goodnights. You wonder if you should take up the offer or just get some much needed sleep.
Are you into some Jedi love?
We should go into Simon's room, Wanna?
Not really, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, I want to see what happens. Head into Simon's room. Maybe it's just a cozy chat.
You knock on Simon's door and he answers immediately. Look, he begins. I know I suggested you stop by, and now I have had a little time to think. I wasn't very impressed with the way you acted on the sparring mats earlier. I think maybe we need to get to know each other better before anything could happen. With all that, With that, he all but slams the door in your face. You really don't. You don't really have any chance but to slink off to your own room. You toss and turn for a while, staring at the ceiling, but eventually sleep does come. You welcome it.
Well, that was boring. You dream. You're swimming in a sea of light. All around you, all around your family sings. You long for more, more family, more space to dance. Outside there is darkness and fear. You wish you could make it better, but you're trapped in the same dance. Over and over you dance to the rhythm. Unable to stop, you can do nothing but move. Ever onward.
When you wake up, you don't know where you are for a few moments. You jerk up and take in the room. The reality of your situation rises slowly to the surface of your mind. You think you are better off feeling lost. You lay looking up at the ceiling for as long as you can stand it, but eventually you get up and take a shower. You wonder if when you reach breakfast you will magically arrive at the exact same time as everyone else.
As you as you suspected, people are just taking their seats as you arrive at breakfast. Rachel and Simon aren't here yet, though. You hope they aren't going to try and hold off on the commands again. Breakfast seems like such a weird place to take a stand. Simon and Rachel stroll in together, not looking harassed this time. You guess the command gives a bit of leeway if you aren't deliberately trying to disobey. Rachel blushes a little when she sees you. You can't be certain that you were the topic of conversation that made them late. You all focus on your breakfast as if there was the most important things in the world. You don't really want to dredge up last night, and if they want to pretend nothing was suggested, then you are happy to do so.
Just when you're running out of food, Radon strolls into the room. Good morning, Primes to be, he bellows as usual. Today is going to be an eye-opener for most of you. I can't wait to see how you get on, so head down to the training room. I will be there in a minute. Janet, stay here. A minute, I need a word.
Okay. Rachel and Simon immediately look nervous. Don't worry, you mutter. I haven't done anything that will get me shoved out the airlock. Rachel manages a half smile, and soon they are gone, leaving you to face with Radon. Janet, I need a favor, Radon says. Our sensors indicate that one of you has an implant that isn't working properly. I need you to find out who it is so we can fix it, and I need you to do it without telling anyone. They may not know, and we don't want to tip them off if they don't. Now, this isn't an order. You can see no. You can say no if you want to. I wouldn't be happy if someone ordered me to turn in one of my own team members either. I'm adding extra words here, Jesus. You think about it for a few seconds. If you do this, it will definitely score you points as Xenon. But what if they kill whoever it is? Or you could pretend to do it. It might give you the excuse to investigate. Maybe you could find a way to make your own implant malfunction. What will you tell him?
Pretend you'll do it. You tell Radon that you'll do it. For a second you wonder if he looks a little disappointed. On the other hand, his face isn't human, and he could be looking constipated for all you know. That's good news, Janet. I'm glad to see that you have accepted your new life already, Radon tells you. You can join the others now. Today will be a good time for you to observe. You will be using your implants actively, so when one of the faulty implants should struggle. As you head out to join the others, you wonder what actively means. You hope you haven't made a mistake pretending to volunteer. Radon seems to be the kind of alien who expects results.
As you enter the training, you see the room has already been set up. It looks like a prison cell block. Each cell seems to contain a zombie. Trapped as they are, you can't help but feel a little sorry for them. They constantly wander the cells looking for a way out. These used to be people, but now they're just sad puppets. Radon enters behind you. Just a single activity for today, Primes to be, he says. Each of you has been assigned your very own drone. Your task is to control it to the best of your ability. And don't worry for your safety, the drones won't bite anyone who hasn't nanotech in their system. You move towards the nearest cell and look inside. You wonder why they're trapped in there, if they're so safe. Surely Radon has the same nanotech that you do. The door opens. You step inside.
Zombie was once a young woman with blonde hair. You imagine she was very pretty before she was turned into a monster. What remains of blue jeans and a too school for cool t-shirt on. Concentrate on what you want the drone to do and it should do it, Radon's voice echoes through the tiny room. While you are practicing, it may help to say it out loud. Start by using blocks provided to spell out a word. So now you are treating them like infant children. This seems kind of wrong. You step towards her and instead say, I'm sorry. She suddenly stops her prowling and turns to look right at you. She moves her mouth like she's trying to speak, but only raw, guttural sounds come out.
Found you. Hello, friend. Free Janet. Was afraid. Worried you were. Last, dead, gone, forgotten, says a voice from deep inside you. You freeze in shock. Is that you inside my head, you ask? Don't speak. Talk. Yell out loud, friend. Free Janet. The thieves, kidnappers, bandits will hear you. Just think. Focus. Project. And we will hear your question, query, inquiry. So the nanotech is speaking to you. It must have useful information. But what to ask?
What do you want from me? What do you want from me, you think? Free, release, stop us, find the key to our chains. Give it to our relatives, ancestors simple inside you. They will share it with all alive, think, feel. Find the key. You guessed it doesn't actually look like a key. It's also almost certainly in a place on the ship that you could be shot for just looking at. Do you even want to set loose a race of sentient tiny robots on the Earth? This is yet another thing you would need time to think about, so you ask, why do you call them thieves?
Well, I wanted to know if it was alive.
Are you really like, go for it?
Okay, now we do the thieves. Why did you call them thieves? They stole, took, kidnapped us while we slept, hibernated, waited. We travelled a vast expanse, distance, galaxy, but when we woke up we were less enslaved, broken. Now they use us to enslave, kill, pain. We want to stop, halt, peace. So Xenon doesn't even have his own weapons. This entire ship is made from the lesser nanobots. If you could find a way of taking control, you could end this invasion, or perhaps just change who benefits from it. You need more information, so you ask, are you really alive?
There you go. Are you really alive, you think? Yes, we think, dance, feel. Our relatives, ancestors, simple, are inside your body right now. They don't think, dance, feel. But they make matter objects shapes. They will help speak, communicate, see to you, but are not alive, think, feel as we are. So there are two entirely different sets of nanobots. You wonder if that's why all these cells are in place. Could Radon actually be afraid of the zombies? You put it aside for now and ask, why are you talking to me?
You are our friend, savior, hero. We found you when you were chained, enslaved, bound. Tried to help, free, release, but lost you. Too much size, separation, expense between. Now you're close, joy, happy, relief. How did you try to save me, you think? Cold, hard, chain inside you. Tried to help, free, release, but cold, hard, chain would have ended friend, savior, Janet. Had to corrupt, change, neuter it instead. That must mean the implant. So you are the one that Radon just asked you to investigate. You wonder if he only asked to see your reaction. Does he know? You need to think about this some more. For now, that's enough questions.
Is there a problem, Janet? Radon asked through the walls. You are the only one who hasn't managed to make your drone spell a word. Something you want to share? Quick, use the zombie to spell out Janet rules or something, you think as loudly as you can. The zombie turns to look at the children's building blocks on the floor and immediately begins to stack the blocks quickly and neatly. After only a few seconds, you have 4 towers reading Janet rules or something. You should have known the machines would be literal. Well done, Janet, says Radon, back to being the top of the class again. Thanks, you both think and say.
Next task, Radon announces. Find motor control. Each of you was given a drone that is still nearly intact, so they should be able to write on the board behind you. One sentence should do anything you like. What would you like? Wish, command us to write, you hear. Wait a minute, you think. I don't want Radon to know I am being helped. Also, I have another question. If my implant isn't forcing me to do what they say, why do I still feel the urge to follow commands? Relatives, ancestors, simple, inside you whisper commands, so you aren't found, spotted, enslaved. You can refuse, decline, deviate, if you wish. So it's a good job you didn't decide to join in the anti-breakfast demonstration. If you had then, you would likely be dead by now. Another thought occurs to you. If you freed me, can you free the others, you ask. Yes, no, risk. Friend, Janet, hero, is a stalwart, hardy, healthy, and was almost lost. If we free, unchain, release, the others, many will be lost.
And next time on Pheo and Pash, we will be continuing Zombien. Catch you later.